So today we're going to be going over our new load balancing feature in serverless. This differs from our previously existing queue-based endpoint system in some really key ways, but at the end it's something that gives you a lot more control over jobs at the cost of being a little more technically demanding. If you've been using Runpod Serverless, you've been using a queue. Every request you send, whether you realize it or not, goes into a queue, waits its turn, gets processed, and comes back. That's kind of just how it works, and honestly it works pretty well. It's reliable, it handles traffic spikes, and it retries failed jobs automatically. But there is a cost to all that reliability, which is overhead. Your request isn't going straight to a GPU. It's going through infrastructure queuing systems like job dispatchers and status trackers, and you're locked into a very specific way of doing things. With load balancing endpoints, instead you're running an actual web server on your workers like Fast API or Flask, whatever you like, and requests go directly to your workers instead of having Runpod system do it. So that while this is faster and more flexible, it is going to change how you think serverless works. But at least in terms of the effort to implement it, it's not exactly a free upgrade. You're not being charged more for GPU time or anything else, but you are trading away some things that the queue was doing for you. And that's going to come up with some additional effort on your side. So in this video, what we are going to do is we're going to break down exactly how this works, what you gain and what you lose, and how to decide which approach is right for what you're building. We're not going to get any code just yet. This is going to be a deep dive into the concepts and actual fundamentals. But we do have some code examples and how to build a Docker image in our docs if you'd like to take a look at that and read ahead, and I'll link to that in the description. So because I like restaurant analogies so much, you can think of the queue-based system like a busy deli counter with a ticket machine. You walk in, you take a number, and you wait. And when your number is called, the person behind the counter takes your order, disappears in the back, makes your sandwich, and brings it out to you. The ticket system guarantees you'll get served. Even if it's slammed, your number is in a queue and it will be called eventually. But you're never actually talking to the person directly making the food. The counter, the ticket system, and the ordering process is all infrastructure sitting between you and the actual work being done. Load balancing is like walking into an open kitchen where there are several cooks working at stations. You walk up to a cook who's free and you tell them what you want, and they make it right there while you watch and hand it back to you. There's no ticket, no waiting for your number being called, and no intermediary taking your order and relaying it to the back. You're talking directly to the person doing the work. So that's really the fundamental difference. Queue-based gives you guarantees at the cost of indirection, and load balancing gives you direct access at the cost of those guarantees. So this is what I was talking about with the analogy earlier with direct versus queued. With load balancing, your request goes through a load balancer and lands on a web server. With queue-based, your request enters the queuing infrastructure instead, which is more organization, more hops. The system is handling more things automatically, but that also, of course, introduces latency. With implementation, this matters more for how you're writing your code. With queue-based, you're writing a handler function. With load balancing, you're actually building a whole web server. And you pick your framework, whatever you're comfortable with, and you define your own routes, how you handle your parsing and your responses. It's more work, but it's also just kind of normal web development. And if you've ever built an API, you already know how to do this. There's no SDK to learn or handler pattern to follow. You're just writing a web app that happens to run on serverless GPUs. All right, now this is probably the coolest part of load balancing, and it's the fact that you're no longer limited to JSON. With endpoints up until now, they only spoke JSON. So you send JSON in, you got JSON out. And if you wanted to send like an image or a video, say with Comfy UI, you were really encoding it with base64 before sending it. With load balancing, you get the full HTTP spec to work with, so you can actually send raw binary images if you want. If you want WebSocket, you can do it. Basically, if HTTP supports it, you can do it with load balancing. All right, so we mentioned this earlier with the Deli analogy, but with queue-based endpoints, when your workers are all busy, requests pile up, and the system does absorb that burst of traffic and works through it. With load balancing, there is no buffer. If all your workers are occupied and a request comes in, if the system can't find a worker after about 2 minutes, it gives a 400, and your request no longer waits in line. And you can still maintain a line if you want, but again, you need to manage it on your own rather than letting the system do it for you. Latency is pretty straightforward. Fewer hops is less latency. That's pretty much all there is to it. And this becomes a lot more important for real-time applications like live inference and interactive tools or anything where users are waiting on the other end. Error recovery, queue-based systems have automatic retries built in. If a worker has some sort of issue and can't finish a job, the system just automatically forwards that over to another worker. With load balancing, there is no safety net in place. So again, this is something you would need to keep track of on individual jobs on your side because there's no automatic overseer like there is with queue-based systems. So with load balancing, your workers are independent web servers. They're just sitting there listening on a port, waiting for requests. The load balancer isn't dispatching jobs to them, it's just routing traffic. So how does it know if a worker is actually ready? And the answer is health checks. Every load balancing worker has to expose a ping endpoint. This is non-negotiable. It's how the system actually monitors your workers. The load balancer is constantly hitting this endpoint, asking each worker, hey, are you healthy? Are you ready for traffic? And your worker responds with a code. 200 means I'm healthy, send me requests. 204 means I'm still initializing, I'm not ready yet. And anything else means something wrong. If a worker returns 200, it stays in a pool and receives traffic. If it returns 204, the load balancer knows it's starting up and leaves it alone. If it returns an error or stops responding entirely, that worker gets pulled out of the pool. No traffic gets routed until it's healthy again. This is actually how we calculate your cold start time, by the way. We measure the gap between when your ping endpoint first returns 204 and when it first returns 200. And that's your initialization window, like your model loading, your server startup, or whatever setup you need to do. The key thing to understand is that this is your responsibility now. With queue-based workers, the SDK handles all this for you, and with load balancing, you're implementing that ping endpoint yourself. You decide what healthy means for your applications. Maybe it just means the server's running. Maybe it means the server's running and the model's loaded into VRAM, and that's up to you to define. So of course, one thing you want to keep in mind is that load balancing isn't like serverless 2 or something where we're looking to replace the original serverless function. We're building this to be an extra tool in the toolbox and not something that's supposed to replace anything that you've already built if it's not the best tool for the job. The kind of situations that you want to use load balancing are when latency is critical, like when you're using like a chatbot or something real time where a user is on the other end immediately waiting a response. That single hop connection is going to be much faster. If you need streaming, load balancing is a much better application for that because it gives you that native HTTP streaming ability. Server send events or chunk responses, it just kind of works. With queue-based, you're kind of fighting the system for that to happen. If you want to use framework features like with VLLM, that has its own internal batching and scheduling, that's something where load balancing was going to be a much better choice. Or if you need like a custom API design where you need multiple endpoints or anything above and beyond what the normal queue structure is going to give you. All right, so that'll wrap up our video on the fundamentals. And here's where you can go to learn more about the feature. We'll link everything in the description. But right now we've got some extensive docs with code examples on how to build a Docker image that will get you started with a fast API example. We've also got a short 2-minute video walkthrough on how to create a new load balancing endpoint that will satisfy all the requirements we talked about earlier. And coming soon, we'll have some further deep dives into actual code to demonstrate how the mechanics actually work. Let us know if you have any specific questions in the comments, or feel free to drop by our Discord. And if the video helped you out, feel free to toss a like my way. I'd really appreciate it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.